Well, joining us tonight is Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. And Tom, it's good to have you with us as you're watching this. A vote tomorrow to set the rules on this so-called inquiry. Republicans say that they will vote as a bloc against it. The question becomes, why should they participate at all if they call this an illegitimate undertaking?
Oh, well, that's a fair question. The concern here is that this resolution actually ratifies the coup. You have Mr. Schiff continuing this secretive process that doesn't provide the president any due process rights and certainly doesn't protect the interests of the Republic. I'm more concerned about the collapse of any legal defense around the White House and the presidency here. I, for one, Lou, don't understand why these witnesses are being allowed to testify without any objection from the White House counsel or the Justice Department.
What forum is there for that? What forum is there for that objection? They have no rights to appear. The White House has no rights to appear in this inquiry. They have no right to be heard. This is not, as you have noted yourself, this has nothing to do with presumption of innocence and the necessity of proving guilt. It has nothing to do with due process. This is a railroading and an effort to overthrow a president.
Oh, I agree, but you can go to court to try to protect your privileges, protect classified information. When you have individuals out there testifying about communications with foreign governments in their response, it implicates classified information. It's being shared and leaked in a way that I think violates the rules and the law. And this is the sort of thing I think that it needs to be protected. The American public's interest in our national security need to be protected here. And certainly the president has prerogatives constitutionally that he can try to vindicate in the courts. But also,
well, let me ask this question, if I may. Forgive me interrupting.
Sure.
Any case that would be brought in the D.C. district courts. They are known to be utterly anathema to this Republican White House. What would be the prospect of success there?
Well, you put at least a stop or a pause on, as you point out, the train heading down the tracks here. And it might give the president the ability to at least sit at the table in these depositions and make objections, invoke his privileges, and protect the public interest. You know, we have to do something in response to the coup. Go to court. Have the Senate say there's going to be no trial. Have the Republicans try to shut it down as best they can in the House and
these timid souls.
There's got to be all hands on deck here, Lou.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. But these timid souls who make up this Republican conference, they have only begun to show some spine, and just as you think they've grown a spine, they acquiesce. It is deeply troubling to me. I can tell it is to you as well, and to millions of Americans, to see them in any way validate this outrageous railroading of a president.
And it is a railroading, but it's also, in my view, a massive obstruction of justice in a sense. They're trying to freeze the Justice Department and prevent any serious investigation of the criminality that's been raised in the prior administration's targeting of President Trump, and frankly, the deep state's continuing targeting of him. I mean, we had Durham confirm, and this needs to be reemphasized, that there's evidence of crimes behind the Spygate targeting of President Trump. So people are facing criminal prosecutions potentially who targeted Trump with this counterintelligence spy operation. This is what the coup's designed to distract from. And I tell you, you know, there's a real concern about the future of the Republic if a political party can hijack the powers of the Constitution and abuse them to throw out a president to protect themselves from criminal prosecution. It's a real problem, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is without question yet another crisis actually confronting this nation. Tom, as we wrap up here, the Alexander Vindman, the colonel, testifying, and he did so, if we could show this full screen, because from his testimony, I just want to get a quick reaction, because I found it interesting that in this quote, he testified that in the spring of 2019, that he became aware of outside influences promoting a false narrative of Ukraine inconsistent with the consensus views of the interagency. This narrative was harmful to U.S. government policy. While my interagency colleagues and I were becoming increasingly optimistic on Ukraine's prospects, this alternative narrative undermined U.S. government efforts to expand cooperation with Ukraine. In that quote, he puts something called the interagency above the executive power of the President of the United States. He puts the consensus of that interagency as if it was some sort of monolith rising up out of the swamp that he must worship ahead of the Constitution of the United States. And it goes unchallenged, as far as we know, by anyone in that hearing.
Yeah, I mean, this is the deep state arrogance at work here, and to see these low-level officials come in and suggest that the president doesn't have a right to set foreign policy when he's the man we vote for. Yeah. You know, when they attack the president's prerogatives in terms of exercising setting direction on foreign policy, they're obviously attacking his voters, yeah. But every voter
they're attacking the United States of America. It's that straightforward.
Yeah. And the Constitution.
One and the same. Tom Fitton, thanks for being with us. Great to see you.
You're welcome.